And welcome to the Crawford Podcasting Network for another episode of All Rell Good. Michigan basketball is a topic, as it always is, with my good friend up there in the right screen, Richard Rellford, number 40, out of Riviera Beach, Florida. Played for the Wolverines, a couple of Big Ten titles in the mid-'80s. And we have a special guest in the bottom corner, or in the middle. Hey, I'm full confession, guys. Okay, I'm not BSing you. Okay, well, I'm just right up front. My favorite Michigan player of all time, Cassie Russell. Okay, that's a no-brainer. But the battle for second is between number 32 out of Flint, Michigan, the Flint Northern Vikings, Wayman Britt, and number 40 out of Riviera Beach, Suncoast High. Battle every day. It goes based on mood swing. I don't know. If I'm more into defense, I'm more of a Wayman Britt guy. If I'm into, big hops and acrobatic dunks, I'm into Richard Rellford.
We're going to have you run for senator here pretty soon.
Yeah. So I think, Rich, we were thrilled when Wayman could come on with us, and appreciate you coming on, Wayman. We're going to talk Michigan basketball, present and past, and we might linger to past more than present. Sure. Not just on the Wolverines, but they are struggling. But welcome to the podcast, Wayne. You've been on with us before, and it's always
it's good to talk with you again, Tom. Good to see you again, Richard.
Well, it's good to have you, Wayman, and we appreciate you to the fullest.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on again.
Yeah, well, let's get the present basketball team. We'll have some fun nostalgically talking about the good old days in your respective areas. But yesterday, Michigan come off that really, really tough loss at Maryland, a team they blew out on Thursday, a few weeks ago, and then they come back and play them in College Park, and they lose, and that was not good. And then they came back and scrapped and clawed, lost their best freshman Jet Howard, and didn't play in the second half. But Wayman, as a guest, I'll start with you to carve into this thing. Where are you at with this Michigan team? 11-8 overall. They're 5-3 in Big Ten play, but doggone it, they're going to have to win 7 games because of their weak non-conference slate of what they've accomplished. No quad one wins. Where are you at with this team?
Well, if they don't turn it around pretty soon, they're going to be in bad shape. Looking at the way they played yesterday, there's just so much that they're lacking. I don't know if players are in the right spots, if they're playing in the right positions. I'm not sure. It just seems like they're out of sync, and they just don't seem like they are playing aggressive basketball, together basketball, kind of standing around, and I don't really sense that they have a lot of confidence right now. And I don't know if there's a leader on the floor. There's a lot there that's wrong. So if they go up against some of these better teams like Indiana, and I would hate to see them play Michigan State here anytime soon, I would be really concerned about them because I know how aggressive those two teams are going to be against them.
Rich, you're I'll say it again. You're always Mr. Glass is half full and everything. Life is wonderful, which we all know it is wonderful. But, you've been struggling with this team this year, and your man Hunter Dickinson comes and goes, and sometimes he wants the ball. Sometimes he gets 9 shots. He played a nice game yesterday with 23 points. But okay, how would you fix this situation, particularly if Michigan does not have Jet Howard against Purdue on Thursday night?
Well, if we don't have Jet, we're going to struggle because I think Jet and Dickinson are our offense. I told you before that I like Buffkin, but we need a leader. I thought maybe Buffkin can fill that role, but after I watched that game yesterday, I was like, wow, man, I was blown away because I'm with Wayman. You know what I'm missing from our team?
Yeah,
it's effort. That's what I want. I want effort.
Yeah.
Because effort starts it all for us.
Yeah.
And, I told you I think Jed will come back, but I'm with you when you say Hunter wants it sometime and he don't. Well, playing with a big guy before, and I've said this to many of my friends, he gets discouraged when he doesn't get the ball.
Yeah.
And I tell guys this. When you're a 7-footer, there's only one way you can get it. 2 ways. Rebound and your point guard giving it to you.
Yeah.
And when you don't get it in your spots, I'm watching the game the other day and I'm saying, why are you guys making him a passer? Put him in the paint, give him the ball, let him make the decision. Because I told you before, he's a hell of a passer, for a big guy, for a 7-footer. But
Mhm.
with all 7-footers, they get discouraged when they don't get the ball. Listen, I play
Yeah.
small forward. If I didn't get the ball, I was discouraged too.
Hey, Wayman, you played with a small center. I mean, Rich had Roy Tarpley. You had Phil Hubbard, 6'7" center,
Oh
who
yeah.
was more perimeter than everything. You didn't have a similar situation to what these guys are going through, did you?
Yeah, I go back to the effort that Rich is talking about. You know, when Baker and who was it, Sheffield came into the game. What's his name?
Yeah. Oh,
Sheffield.
you mean cheddar cheese? I
Cheddar,
call it
cheddar.
cheddar cheese.
When
Yeah,
Yeah, I
those
like
two
Phil
cheddar.
cheddar.
come into the game, it changes the whole tempo. They
Yeah.
seem to be uh, showing a lot more effort, and it's contagious. And I think that I don't know. I like Jet. Okay, I'm okay with him, but he's looking to shoot a lot of the time instead of okay. How can he motivate, get the other players involved? He seems like he's just a one-on-one guy. Maybe it's because they know that they don't have much offense coming from the other guys. But I really like Buffkin if he could see himself as a guard and be a little bit more aggressive. I think the announcers were talking about that in the game too. He just doesn't seem to have this. I want to uh, be more. He's got the talent, he's got the skills, but he
Yeah.
just doesn't seem to want to push it into third, fourth gear all the time. And it's almost like they're pacing themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like what Rellford's saying about feeding the big guy, but the big guy is a luxury. You've got to have four other guys that are putting out the effort so that the big guy, he doesn't have to be the guy that they look to all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Wayman, you're in Grand Rapids. You saw him play in high school, right? Or you followed his
A little
career?
bit. He was a lot better in high school, but that's just simply because the guys are slower and
Yeah.
so forth and so on. I mean, he was just a much better skilled player than the other kids were. Now that you get into the Big Ten, guys are stronger, quicker, so it's not as easy for him to do what he was doing. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's just a different level of basketball now that he's entered into.
Yeah. Rich, on after the Maryland game, Doug McDaniel tweeted out I mean, I could tell he was irritated with the Michigan fans taking a shot at it. They loved me last time, and now all of a sudden, I'm paraphrasing right now. I'm not any good anymore, but we'll move on. But I mean, the and both of you guys know this. I mean, you played in eras when Michigan football was dominant, like it is right now. I mean, what would that irritate you, Rich? You didn't have to deal with Twitter or anything like that. You're in a vacuum more. Same with Wayman, obviously, 10 years
Mm.
prior. Is what does Doug McDaniel do? Just block that out and not get caught up in that crap?
Yeah, because that's media squabble. I mean, as a player, I think Wayman knows this. We don't really pay attention to the stuff that they write.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to the stuff that they write because you know what? What mattered to me was the 15 guys in that locker room with me.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Yeah.
care about what they wrote because when you win, that solves everything. But you got to remember now, everybody doesn't like Michigan. Everybody's not going. I fight with this a lot, Tom.
Yeah.
I feel like referees and people, they don't give Michigan the benefit of the doubt. They did that to Jimmy with the football team. You saw how they killed us against TCU with the touchdown, taking it away, and changing the whole outlook of the game after that.
Yeah.
Well, referees can do that. They can change games, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what they do. And for us, I just think that if you want to foul, go to the basket. You'll get a
Yeah.
foul. But if you
Yeah.
sit back and shoot threes all the time,
Yeah.
you
You
ain't gonna get
can't.
nobody gonna
Yeah.
call no fouls.
And they don't have any. They don't have anybody who's actually a dependable 3-point shooter. On the
Right.
scroll right now, Wayman. We talk about outstanding the Wayman Britt Award, defensive award that has been incorporated in the program from Johnny Oron, and I think that's an outstanding award. And you were an absolute stopper. Then Adrian Dantley, I mean, all the top players you would stop. But Mike, when you watch this Michigan defense, okay,
Mhm.
and I actually asked Juwan this question in a post game presser, and I'm not saying he got snippy with me, but I think he was taken back by it. But I mean, I was just questioning about that perimeter defense that one particular game a few games ago.
Mhm.
But that's what bothers me more about guard play more than they don't defend people.
No.
Or even, I mean, Wayman, don't you? I mean, when you look at
Yeah,
that,
Yeah, it's hard to watch sometimes because I think that the guys really don't take pride in staying in front of their man. It seems like they're always slipping and sliding. That's okay as long as you've got that trapping style defense that they would have, where they would cover for each other. If a man gets lost in the play, then somebody else comes up and stops. Well, okay, if that's working, fine. But I don't see that happening. It's almost like they don't have a team approach to the game. Let me just say this too. I was a great defensive player, but it was our team that played defense.
Yes.
That allowed me to play well. So yeah, I was always on the toughest guy on the other team, but it was the team that made me better. And I don't think that they have that approach yet. I've seen Michigan's team in the past seemed like they understood how to rotate and make sure that they back the other guy up when they lose. I don't see a lot of that at times. So I don't know. I think that just it starts with Bufkin and it starts with Howard, Jed Howard, those two guys, in my opinion. It seems like Williams, he plays pretty good defense. I think he does well on a defensive end. It's those other two guys that sometimes seem to be more offensive minded than they should be defensive minded. And I think that once they cure that problem, they'll be okay. It's just hard to watch.
Yeah, Rich, to Wayman's point about Jed Howard, I mean, I think he's the only one player on the team who scores in bunches. I mean, maybe Hunter, but I mean, where he can. I mean, we saw this in the Iowa. I mean, he can all of a sudden just light it up without him. So, is there any scorer that you see that could join him? Is it Kobe or is it somebody else?
Well, I like Kobe, but I also think that Williams need to. We bring him off the bench now.
Yeah.
We started him. We brought him off the bench. We started him. I think Williams is he's a good shooter. He's a good guy who comes in, and I think he gives us energy, but we don't get enough consistency.
Yeah. He played well against Maryland. I mean, he did. T. Will is he's there, and then he's not, and it's
right. You got to be more consistent.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. I want to go. Okay, enough for the present. I want to go to the past because I got Wayman Britt on the line, so I got to grab onto this right now. So, that 76 team that went to the Final Four, okay, a 6'7" center, a 6'2" forward. Yes, people, a 6'2" forward in Wayman Britt. You had a tougher than nails guard in Steve Brody. You had Johnny Robinson. I don't know what position was he. A power? Was he a 4? Or he was a 4, right? I mean,
he was a forward. He was 6'5", strong, tough. Depending upon who the opposition was, he'd play power forward or a small forward, depending.
And then Ricky Green. Okay, so there's your 5. And he had Baxter coming up. I mean, not a very big team. I mean, how did you guys do that? You should have beat Indiana down in Bloomington. You got screwed by the refs. Well, I don't even want to go into that. Well, speaking of referees, okay.
We were just great athletes, man.
What was the pixie dust on that team, Wayman? Why were they so good?
Well, we're great athletes. We're very well conditioned, and I would say just very fit when it came to being able to compete. And once you have that, it's just then a matter of heart and determination and having, this idea that you can beat people. And so I think that's number one. You don't have to be 6'8", 6'9". Look at Charles Barkley, for instance. 6'5", dude. He was playing against guys who were 6'9", 6'10" all the time. You just have to have that ability, the agility, the resourcefulness, all those attributes to be able to stand in front of a guy, shut him down. And then on the offensive end, know who's got the strong hand, be willing to give it up and play team ball. And I think that's what was the essence of our team. We were quick. I mean, Howard coached, what was the guy's name at the championship game? Called us like gazelles. We're like gazelles. That's how we ran.
Was it Dick Enberg?
Dick Enberg, I think that's who it was. Yeah, he called us out, and he's and that's the way we were. We could run, we could jump, And we were tough. Just we were the Wolverines.
Yeah.
The Wolverine, the really tenacious Wolverine that you see out in the wilderness when they don't. It doesn't matter who you come up against, that bear or that whatever it is. You will shut them down. That's the attitude that you have to have. And so that grit, determination. Now, I think about myself in the play that I played. I was not this big, hunky. I was slim. I was slim
Yeah.
like a cat. So guys don't get mistaken about my, who I was. I mean, most times guys probably thought that they could just take me on, but I had some good hops. I was a 44-inch, vertical.
Whoa.
Those are hops,
Uh-oh.
baby.
Yeah, that's up in Rellford territory.
Yeah, those are
What's going
hops.
on there?
So I could get up there. I could stand up under there and drop it down right up under the hoop too. Back.
There you go.
So at 6'2". So that's what it was. And guys were fooled by it. That's all I got to say. And it had those long arms. So most guys didn't know what was happening.
And see, I didn't know Wayman played with Hubbard and Ricky Green.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that was it's
Both
about
of
10
two-
years ahead of you.
Two of my favorite Wolverines of all time.
Yeah.
Me and Phil Hubbard talk now to this day.
Uh-huh.
Ricky Green, I met my first NBA game with the San Antonio Spurs.
Uh-huh.
We played Ricky's team. We played Ricky and them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think he didn't realize how excited I was. He thought I was excited for the game.
Uh-huh.
I was excited to meet him.
Yeah.
Because he was a Michigan guy. So I'm standing up and I'm shooting, warming up, and this little guy comes behind me and bear hugs me. And I turn around and it's Ricky.
Uh-huh.
And I look at Ricky and I say, you have no idea how much I admire you as a basketball player, and you're a Michigan guy.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we talked, man. So I have the utmost respect for you guys because of guys like you, Wayman. It made it possible for me to go to school there and play and have competitive teams.
Yeah.
And so, from me and all my other Wolverines, we thank you for you guys opening those doors and making it easy for us, man.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, man. Well, there were some great ones that came before us too. The Kansas City Russells, the Campy Russells. Those guys are the people that Tom Janovich's. Those are the people that we looked up to. Same thing, So, the beat goes on. I mean, you guys showed up. You had one hell of a team, and you and Tarpley and those guys were unstoppable. So, one teaches one. That's just
that's right. Perfect. When one teaches one, that's exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
Wayman, we got a lot of listeners, especially in my Michigan era, went to school with that were in school when you were there. Could you kind of get up to speed in a condensed form after you left Michigan? I know you got drafted by the Washington Redskins as well as in the NBA. I mean, the guy didn't play football. I think somebody saw you on TV in the Final Four and said, "Hey, that guy could play a defensive." I don't know if it was George Allen or whoever it was. I do remember that vividly. But what kind of give us a condensed version of what your life has been since then?
Yeah. Well, Bo Schembechler reached out to me twice, wanted me to come out for his team, play with.
Well, that's like Rich. Same thing.
Yeah.
I think I heard that before too, Rich. And I had no idea, but I get a call from Bart Starr, from the Green Bay Packers. And then the Redskins were after me, the Cowboys, they were looking, and then so were the Lions. I went to the Lions. I guess it was a drill speed camp or something down there in Detroit at the Silverdome. And then I go down to Washington Redskins camp, and Joe Theismann's there. He's challenged me to a half-court basketball game. He had to beat me. I let him do it. I don't know. I didn't think it was that good, but he's a pretty good ball player. And I just decided that it was a better thing for me to go play with Kareem and Lucius Allen with the Lakers. And those guys, UCLA, why not? Jerry West was the coach, so that's where I headed out. I beat out everyone I needed to beat out. But anyway, I got cut 2 weeks into the regular season. Oh no, it was actually 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Calhoun had been cut just prior to me. Got cut by the Lakers and went to the Portland Trailblazers. They won the championship, but the Pistons had my rights, so I got picked up by them. The ABA had folded, so they had a flood of athletes into the NBA. You know, Dr. J. You know,
Oh
Greg,
yeah.
those cats. They showed up. They had no cut contracts, so they moved a lot of us out. I didn't have a no cut contract. I was drafted in the 4th round, but I was a strong player. I mean, I was definitely one of those players they wanted to keep, as well as the Pistons, but they had to make room, and so they wanted me back the next year. And I told Vital, you know, I led the league in scoring at Saint Cecilia that summer, you know, the pro league
Yep.
in Detroit, and you know, I was in rare form. I was ready. I'd switched over playing guard and learned the guard spot again all over again. I started at Michigan guard, point guard, my first year. I had to learn that position all over again. So it took me a while, but I got it down. And they wanted me to come back to them. And I said, look, man, I can't afford to leave my position at Steelcase. I had gotten employed at this corporation called Steelcase, the office furniture manufacturer. And they were wanting me to grow into a management role. So they didn't want to bring me to the regular season camp, which started in August. They wanted me to come in July. And I said, look, man, I can't come away that long. You got to let me know whether you're going to, you know, if I'm going to be in or out. And they said, well, if you can't come, we're not going to. I said, okay, all bets are off. I'm not going to come. And so I told them no. So that was the end of that. I said no to them. I wrote them a letter. You know, I wasn't going to chase basketball for the rest of my life, not knowing how it's going to end up. When I knew politics involved, you know, it's back in the day, it was really, really a lot of politics. Maybe still is.
It is.
Who they were going to keep and not keep, who the franchise players, who his buddies were. The time Bob Lanier was, and Willie Norwood was his friend. And, you know, they had issues with the guys that I hung out with, Marvin Barnes and Eric Money. And I mean, and I knew that unfortunately Bob is gone now, Willie Norwood's gone, Chris Ford is now gone, Kevin Porter's gone. You know, I read about these guys, and just sad to hear that. But I just didn't feel that I could stomach with my family, with my career. So then I left basketball and had 24 years at Steelcase, and then moved on. After there, we downsized in 2001, and I became an assistant administrator in 2004. I think 2004 at Steelcase. I took a few years off to just where I was a general contractor. I'd started my own company and decided I would get out of that. But I left my career at Steelcase and became a public administrator. One of the first African Americans to be a public administrator in county government in the state of Michigan as an appointed, and then eventually became the county administrator in 2017, and left there in 2021 at the July 31. But I'm very, very fortunate to have had that career at Michigan, because it taught me a lot of the skills that I used in my career. All the leadership skills, all the team building skills, all the conflict resolution skills, all of the, you know, the tough conversations that you got to have, and keeping the team moving down the path to win. That's what it taught me.
Yeah, I call that grown up work, basically.
I love it.
You learn the grown up work, you know. And and Richard, you gleaned up the same stuff with your experience at Michigan and what you're doing right now, helping young kids. It's the same model.
Listen, I was sitting here and admiring all the stuff that Wayman is doing, because he's exactly right. You know, I wasn't gonna, once I played my 15 years of basketball, I was not one of those guys who was gonna say, oh, well, you know what? I want to keep playing. I want to go back and play. No. My life was full with the Michigan basketball in my professional career. Now what I do is a sports director at the YMCA. Listen, I love what I do working with kids, and I cannot be fulfilled more than when I see a 6, 7-year-old kid come up to me and say, Coach, has no idea who I am. And he'll say, Coach, could you show me how to do this and show me how to do that? Okay, the parents know us. The parents are going to always rave about us. I got a lot of Buckeye fans who hate us. Well, I love that part. And I really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than working with children.
Yeah. Okay. Before we close this out and talk about Wayman's book, which is on the scroll, and we're going to get into that.
Right.
I got an idea for Richard.
Pull it up, Wayman.
Here's the idea for Richard. I think, Richard, you need to write a book, Richard, called How to Be 6'6", 230 pounds, and jump 40 some inch vertical without lifting weights or working out. I mean, you need to write a book about that. Don't you think maybe that people could learn from that?
Listen, I would love to write a book, and I look forward to those days. But you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna push my man book Wayman Britt.
Okay.
Because I like that Wayman's written a book. I like that any athlete. Put it up there, Wayman. What's the name?
Yeah.
Fulfilling a Dream.
My path to leadership and finding purpose through serving others. It's my first book, and people can get that anywhere today. It's on Audible as well as on Amazon and in all the bookstores, Barnes and Nobles and so forth. And they can get it on my website at WBE Books. So I started my own publishing company.
Very good, my man.
Okay, so is there any reference to Bill Frieder in that book? Because Richard would be interested in reading it. Then.
Yeah, there is some reference to him.
Oh, you got Bill in there?
Yeah, there's some reference. Have a book, Bill and I in high school, because Bill was a high school coach. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not know this.
Coach at Northern. Come on, Rich. I've told you that. Are you kidding me? We talked about this last year.
Yes, we did, but I did not remember that Bill Frieder was your high school coach.
Yeah. The Vikings.
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah, so he came.
Talk to Bill. I'm gonna make sure I say something to him.
Yeah, he came in my second year.
Okay.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah.
Very cool.
Coach Orr all the time. He would just travel around and go to various games and try to get him to hire him as a coach.
He stalked him, man. He found him all the way up. It was a stalker thing. Truly was.
Well, you know what? I'm glad he stalked him and had him come to Michigan. That was a good thing for us.
Yeah.
But Wayman, what's the biggest takeaway from your book that people are going to learn from and aspire from to, when they read your publication?
Yeah, the basic theme is don't let anyone tell you what you can't do in life. Don't ever let anyone, no matter what size you are, what color you are, where you came from. God has a purpose and a gift and a talent that you need to let come forth. And for me, I have many examples of that happening in basketball, in my career at Steelcase and with county government that I can share with people. But the idea is to never let anybody superimpose their ideas on you about what you are and what you're going to be. I wished I had known that early on in life. I kind of knew, but I wished I knew more about that. And I think that a lot of dreams go unfulfilled. Too many people have regrets after they look back and say, why didn't I go after that idea?
Yeah.
Or that unction that I had about my ability and what I wanted to do, and I fight it even today. I fight that whole thing about should I, who am I, as if I don't deserve the opportunities that I think I could achieve. And so that's what the book is about. And then it's also about making sure people understand what we're up against. As African Americans, we're starting behind. We're starting further back in the race. And what if we were to figure out how we could even the playing field early on, and how much better we would be in America if we could allow for all of us to have those unique opportunities to lead and to achieve. So that's what the book is about. It's about my life. It's about me, but it's also telling a story about what happens in America when you allow a child or an individual to manifest their hopes and their aspirations. What can happen? For me, it happened. For a lot of people, it doesn't happen. People that play with me on the University of Michigan's team, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys should have done better than what they did. And I look back and I know it had to do lots of time about what the status quo was saying. But we had to have a certain number of guys on the team that were of a lighter persuasion. Those are the kinds of issues I talk about in the book, and not heavy to the point that we don't take pride and ownership of the things that we can do as individuals. You know, the hard work, the discipline that we need to take in mind to make sure that we're doing our part. You know, it's not making excuses, but too often we let ourselves off the hook, and we make these easy assumptions about why is it happening. We have a deficit in America. We have unused talent, and we need to get better at making sure that everyone has an opportunity to succeed. And that's what my book is about.
You know, Rich, you should delve into something like in Riviera Beach, Florida. I mean, his hometown, Riviera Beach, Florida, where kids have you told me there's one choice, you know, one choice, and your choice: go in athletics or get in trouble. And I'm talking about major trouble. That's what they did in your town, and you're trying to fix it down there, as you often do down there.
I've been trying, and I've had my basketball academy. Me and Kenny Anderson, who played with the Nets, who lives in Florida. We've had the camp down there now for like 6 years. We haven't ran it the last few years because of COVID, and it kind of slowed everything down. But what we're about in my neighborhood is, you know, I'm tired of little 15 and 16-year-old kids getting killed because they have nowhere to go. And parks and recreation centers and YMCAs are lifesavers.
Yes.
Because parks and rec, where I live in Florida, in Riviera Beach, saved my life as much as they saved a bunch of kids, little black boys and little black girls' lives, because you gave us a place to go and to see other people who strive to be better. And we had a ton of athletes in Lamar Parish, who came from my hometown, who's the first NFL, not only the first NFL draftee, but played for the Cincinnati Bengals for 11 years.
I remember.
And nine of those years, he was all pro.
Yeah.
And we act like, you know, I was telling guys when I was home, you guys act like Lamar was no one. Lamar Parish was one of the greatest athletes to leave my town.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a chance to spend time with him a few months ago, and that's what we talked about. And all he could talk about was what I did playing football. It was funny to me, and I was like, I know Lamar, you know, but I was a basketball dude. And so, Wayman, I love the book. I'm gonna make sure I pick the book up because I want boys and girls to read it and see what they can inspire to be.
Yeah,
because that's what we need in our neighborhoods.
It starts, man. It's believing that you have a spot in life. Believing that your dream can come true. And that's where it starts. It's just the idea. And I had an idea when I was a little 13-year-old, 11-year-old kid who, you know, was on a farm going nowhere. We're sharecroppers, you know, tobacco, cotton, and nobody knew anything about going to college. And I had this idea watching Charlie Scott and David Miller play for Dean Smith.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
I remember those guys.
Yeah. Charlie's got four corners. Yeah. I'll tell you what, we go on and on. Wayman Britt, we really appreciate Richard do, and I appreciate you coming on. All Rell and Good. We're going to do it again sometime soon. Again, our listeners, how to get the book?
WBE Books. Go on the website, find my website. You can find it there. Fulfilling the Dream is also located in Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and you can get it on Audible. So,
all right.
Very good.
Okay, number 32 out of Flint Northern High School. Appreciate you coming on. All Rell and Good, Wayman and Rich. We'll talk to you next week, and hopefully, hey, maybe Michigan can knock off the number one ranked two Boilermakers on Thursday night. And all of a sudden, life is good.
We can. I'm with you. We can.
That's right.
All right, guys.
Slow down.
There you go.
Slap him upside the head or something. You know, get him.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. All right, take care. Talk
later.
See ya. Yeah, bye.